Good evening, this is Kuro and the Dinosaurs. Had a request on my YouTube page to run some people through how to use AP um, when they're fighting other destroyers, and kind of had the idea that, you know what, I just do this in the training room. I don't think I've really showed how to use the training room. Anybody that's a competitive player, you get really familiar with it. So basically, you hop up here, hit your training button. You've got the option to search for the person who created the map or see what's up. Since I'm making my own, I just want to click there, scroll through, all the different maps. In this case, I'm just doing some basic target practice. I want to use a smaller map, so I'm going to use Polar. 20 minutes, number of players, 12v12. Because this is target practice, you want to do standard battle. The reason for that, as you kill bots, the enemy team will lose points. With standard battle, they'll keep gaining some points as long as you stay out of the cap, and your target practice will last longer. Alright, we're going to go on ahead and create the room. Alright, see what ship that I got readied up. Got a gearing. That'll work. And for adding the bots, we're going to click the Add Player button and wait 3 days and 7 nights for the UI to work. Let's bring some different destroyers out here. Let's bring 2 Shimas. Come on. Let's bring 2 Haragumos. And by the way, if you wanted the bots moving and armed, you just select these buttons, or these boxes, and then you can also select the, basically how difficult the AI is going to be. So, we definitely want to bring a gearing. Let's do 2 gearings. Let's do 2 Yu Yangs. Let's do 2 Darings. And last but not least, let's do 2 Groza Voice. Alright. Got all of our bots, we got our ship ready. Hit the battle button, and it will dump us into the training room. Guys, get off the Christmas tree. They're ornaments, not baseballs. Alright, loading in. Gearing. Ah, isn't she so pretty? Speaking of which, that's how I have my mini-map set up. Actually, I'm running a mod right now where I've got, I call it the Draw the Dicks mods, where you can just draw all over the map. It's actually fairly handy in clan battles. Now, to note, this is the standard zoom. I'm using the vanilla dynamic crosshair. All I do is, you see the setting is at 10, I zoom out for 15. That just gives me more room on the crosshair. And I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to find me a DD. Alright, got a Haragumo. Gonna throw some shots out here. You can see anything that hits the hole basically is gonna bounce. Got a Shima. It's gonna be the same thing. Yu Yang, same thing. Oh, I broke his gun. So that tells us that our AP, it doesn't overmatch. Now, however, you can start to get angles where you will pin. And you see this flared section of the Shima's bow. From even this angle, it's possible to get pins. It's just not going to be very reliable. We're right on the edge right now. My bet is there. Nope, not quite. And you can play with this and figure out exactly what it takes to get pins. Now, for example, Haragumo, this should be pins. Yep. And you can see, you know, some of the DPM difference when you're shooting these ships. I mean, these are pretty sizable chunks. Now, to notice that this ship isn't perfectly broadside to me. Perfectly broadside ships, Shima's even more angled. Perfectly broadside ships are actually easier to overpen. Your AP will perform better when ships are slightly angled. Haragumo's not gonna... She isn't gonna miss a pin. But Shima, for example, you can overpen Shima. Right. So you kind of see what I'm talking about. You can definitely note it on the Shima. Even Yu Yang, for example, it doesn't have the armor that a Gearing does. So back here, you need that angle really to make sure that you get your pins. Now Shima, if you can get an angle, still over pins. Let's get more of an angle. And there you go. And what that angle is doing, it's allowing the shell's longer time in the hull of the ship to actually detonate inside the ship. When you're shooting at the ship broadside, you have a very narrow profile for the shells to go through. But when you shoot at it at a a more steep angle, you've got more ship to pen. I mean, in this case, those shells are basically going through this way rather than this way. Alright, let's find something different to shoot at. So, out of all of these, Shima by far is the hardest ship to pen with AP. You should note, you can pen right through the stern and get pen damage. So, just something to think of. You know, it's not always just when can you get a broadside, it's when can you get a flat part of the ship. The stern shot, if you look at Shima's stern, it's very rounded. It's hard to get those pins, but if you look at a ship that's got a flat stern, like Yu Yang, Z52 is a really good one. You can get, you know, a lot of pen damage. If you look at the gearing stern, it's pretty flat, or pretty heavily rounded, so you can pen that pretty well too. So Yu Yang stern, for example, pen damage. Now, dispersion tells you that you might be better with HE from this angle, because HE you're looking at, well, if I don't break the gun, okay, if I don't hit the gun, you know, a little bit more. We'll leave that guy alone. Grozavoy loves the AP too. Guys, get off the blinds. Now, my favorite areas to shoot are, you know, from the front gun under the bridge. Those are real solid, meaty areas on most of these DDs. Under the smokestacks, in between them, are good locations. You always seem to do a lot of good pen damage there.
Enemy destroyer foundered.
We'll wait for the ribbons to go by. I swear I'm raising a pack of wild animals. This is pretty much almost perfectly broadside. Interesting. So you can see kind of the difference, and there are some differences when you're shooting these boats. So looks like over Penn Central, all down, you know, the back 2/3 of a Daring, but hit it up front, and you get some real pen potential. Now, notice that's a lot of overpens. I shift over a little bit. Guys, off those blinds. Nothing but pens. Till you bounce. Even the stern at that point, you're going to pen. And I mean, this works at range too. It actually works a little better if you're not so close, because the shells will be a little bit slower. So just gives you a quick idea of you know, kind of the capabilities of your AP. And you can practice hitting different areas of the ships on the move. Just so you generally get an idea of, you know, your bounce angles. That's really the critical one, because with a bounce, you're not getting any sort of damage. Again, this is a shimma, slightly angled, pens all day. Now, some of the reduced damage that you're seeing, I'm hitting AA mounts or torpedo tubes, stuff like that, or bouncing. Gearing. Gearing's a really interesting one with the armor. When I say armor, basically from there on the ship to about there on the ship is 21mm plate. Hitting that, it's basically big time pens, but switching to HE, you start shattering. But even broadside, that plate slows down the AP enough where you got pins. So, gearing, being able to angle and knowing when and when not to use HE or AP is really critical when you're facing gearings, because their armor profile, you can, in a gearing, you can bounce a lot of HE using that section of the ship, you know, but if somebody's shooting AP, they're going to be able to do a lot of damage to you on the flip side. So what I always recommend is for guys to come into the training room and just run through it, just like I'm doing, and test and see, you know, what are your guns going to do? What are they capable of? You know, this is another thing that I like to do. Try to test the durability of modules. You know, which DD has the toughest modules? You know, that's kind of important information to know. So anyway, I hope you guys found this video entertaining, informative. But this is what my target practice looks like when I'm going through and either playing a boat for the first time or getting familiar with it again. This is, you know, what it looks like. So, hope you guys have a good day, and I will talk to you later.
We've sunk an enemy destroyer.
That's right, buddy. Little boats blow up.